Today you're going to paint a landscape of birches in the snow. So this is a two-part project with first the landscape and then the tree added on top. So get your paints ready. You'll need your watercolor paints, your watercolor paper, a brush, some water and a paper towel. The first thing you want to do is to draw a line, kind of a little wavy, to separate your snow from the sky. I draw my line slightly below the middle of the paper. Now we're going to use the watercolor only for the sky. So we're using the wet on wet technique, which means you need to wet your paper first so that when you apply the paint, it will blend smoothly and you won't see marks from your brush and lines. So once your paper is wet enough, you're going to start applying the paint. I'm going to start with yellow at the bottom. So just brush along the yellow. Remember, you don't want to put water on the snowy part. You're just doing the sky. So I'm putting my yellow first, and then I'm going to rinse my brush and get some of the red paint. And I'm putting the red paint above the yellow. I make sure the red doesn't touch the yellow yet. So I have a nice coat of red paint, and when it touches the yellow, it's going to mix with the yellow and start making orange. As you know, yellow and red makes orange. Next, I'm rinsing my brush again, and this time I'm going to go with blue. So the blue is going to be at the top of my paper, and again I start with the blue, and I'm going to start painting down, and when it starts mixing with the red, I'm going to get another color, which is purple. Blue and red make purple. Feel free to add more paint as needed, but just make sure you do not mix the purple with the yellow or the orange. Otherwise, as you know, you will end up with brown or gray, and we don't want that in our sky. If you do not want to use the three colors, it's okay to use just two colors. So you can choose any of the two colors. I would suggest yellow and red if you want like a sunset, or you can do blue and red. But you want to avoid blue and yellow, otherwise you'll end up with green in your sky. Next, you let it dry, and we're going to paint the trees. So to do the trees, you want a small piece of cardboard, scissors, black watercolor paint, the white paper, and water and brush. The white paper can be a piece of paper from your sketchbook, or a piece of printer paper, works fine. So you're going to cut your cardboard the way I'm doing it in that video, and it's a little bit like a cardboard brush that you are making. We're going to use that to paint the texture on our birches. Those trees have horizontal lines on their bark, and that's what we're going to try to do. Next, you're going to paint black paint on the edge of your cardboard, and then you're just very gently going to drag your cardboard along, small little mark like you're painting with your cardboard, and it should be kind of uneven, but you want to make sure you're going in the same direction. So notice how my paper is sideways, landscape orientation, and I am painting the marks horizontally. So if you're holding your paper the other way, you want to make sure the marks are going up and down. This is important, otherwise your trees are not going to fit on your landscape. So just do a variety of little marks all over your paper. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just make sure they're going the same direction. And reapply the paint as needed. and just paint with your cardboard, short little marks. So when you're done, you're going to let that dry, and you're going to grab your scissors, you're going to grab your glue stick, and we're going to move on to the next part. So once your trees are dry, you're going to start cutting them. So you want to cut a bunch of them. You're not going to use them all, but you want some skinny ones and some wider ones, so you have trees of all sizes. So we're just cutting, when I call them tree, they're actually just the tree trunks. We're not doing branches. If you want, you can add branches later, but for now we're just focusing on the tree trunks. So I'm not going to cut the whole paper, but I want to make sure I have maybe 8 to 10 trees, so I have a good selection of sizes. Now that all my trees are ready, I'm going to put them aside, and I'm going to grab my landscape, which by now is dry, and I'm going to place my trees. So the way I'm placing them, I am putting the larger trees, the wider ones, at the bottom of the paper, the middle-sized one towards the middle of the snow, and the skinnier ones higher up on the snow. Once you have decided where your trees are going to go, and make sure they go all the way up to the paper, okay? They can even stick out, that's fine. But make sure they are all the way up. Don't cut anything yet. Once you're ready to glue them, take a piece of scrap paper, because you don't want to apply the glue on your project, and you're going to glue the back of your trees and place them one by one where you decided to use them. And remember, we want the skinnier trees to be a little higher up in the snow and the larger trees to be lower in the snow. This is called size and placement, and that's used to add space in your landscape. The larger trees appear to be closer to us, so they are at the bottom of the paper, and the skinnier trees should appear to be further away from us, so they should be higher up on the paper. So double check to make sure all your trees are glued down properly. And if you need to add a bit more glue, do that. We don't want them to fall off when they dry off. The next thing, you turn your project over, and all the little pieces of trees that stick out, you can now cut. Make sure you don't cut your painting though. And now we are done with the first part of the project, and here you have your snowy landscape with birches.